Welcome to the deep dive.
Mhm.
We love digging into narratives that are really shifting perspectives. And today, wow, we are plunging into a source stack that's just packed with action, but also some really deep cultural commentary. We're
Absolutely.
talking about the Hero Generation saga,
Mm.
issues #1 through #9 specifically. It's this amazing, sometimes chaotic, but thoroughly Nigerian story.
It really is a fantastic piece of storytelling. And yeah, our sources today are directly from the Republic comic books. They're not just telling a superhero story, are they?
Not at all.
No, they're using that frame to look at resilience, um, distrust in institutions, identity, and it's all grounded right there in Lagos. You feel it.
You really do. So our mission today basically is to cut through everything and give you the core story. We'll summarize how the extremes started, their big moments.
Introduce some other key players like Tag and Jazz,
Yeah.
right? And the villain, Blackout.
Exactly. And importantly, we want to explore those Nigerian roots. You mentioned Lagos, but there's Borno State trauma in there too. Street politics. It all shapes these heroes. So let's just dive in. Let's unpack the main team.
Okay, the extremes. First thing to know, they're not government official. Not at all. They started, underground. A group of powered people trying to protect Lagos, sort of before anyone really knew they existed.
And leading them is Parabox Toye Oluwadere. He's the muscle, but also the strategist. His power isn't just, hitting hard. He absorbs kinetic energy.
Right, kinetic force. And the comics give us this really vivid origin snapshot as a kid. A speeding bus hits him,
And he's fine.
completely unharmed. He basically turned that impact into power. It says a lot about him, I think, that kind of resistance.
That's the heavy burden for a leader, carrying that kind of power.
Definitely. Then you've got New Tech. Joshua Martins, he used to go by Network. He's the brains, a true technopath.
So not just good with computers, he controls machines
Mm.
with his mind.
Yeah, exactly. And his IQ is off the charts, letting him build incredible tech, like his signature nanite suit.
A nanite suit. That's pretty advanced stuff.
Yeah.
Constantly adapting.
Mm-hmm. Self-repairing, optimizing. It makes him the perfect counter for any, high-tech threats they face.
Okay, power, brains. Who else?
Mech Speed. Marcus Chigozie. He's the speedster. Bit of a hothead, the sources say.
And he uses tachyon energy. What does that mean in practice?
Well, tachyons are theoretically faster than light particles, so he's incredibly fast. But he's not just running, he uses capoeira.
The martial art. Interesting blend. Speed and technique.
Right, it makes his fighting style really unique, rhythmic. But there's a catch. He needs about 5 seconds to ramp up to top speed.
A weakness.
Mhm.
So he can't just instantly zip away. 5 seconds.
Mm.
That's a long time in a fight.
It is. Keeps things tense. His top speed, by the way, is something like 5 times a Concorde jet. Incredible speed, but that vulnerability is key.
So this core trio, Powerbox, New Tech, Max Speed, they were operating in the shadows until issue #1.
Pretty much. They were forced out into the open, and Asteroid was heading for Lagos.
An asteroid. Okay, that's a big debut.
Huge. They teamed up with Guardian Prime, who was already a known hero, to stop it. And just like that, they became Lagos's light in the darkness, whether they wanted that spotlight or not.
And of course, once you're in the light, the threats get bigger. Issues #2 and #3 bring in HIVES.
Yeah, and we need to be clear on the pronunciation. It's HIVES, like beehives. Stands for Human Initiative Against Violent Environmental Situations.
Okay, HIVES, so eco-terrorists.
So essentially, yeah, a terrorist group with a radical environmental agenda. But what's really interesting is how they operate. They attack the Okpebi weapons cantonment,
Okay,
and they're using tech scavenged from a failed NACSS exosuit project.
NSCSS. That sounds official.
It is. We'll get more into them later. But yeah, a major security organization. The fact that HIVES is using their failed tech, that's important.
It means they're not just random extremists. They're exploiting weaknesses in the system itself. It makes the conflict feel more political, maybe.
Exactly. It elevates it beyond just good guys versus bad guys. It's about institutional failure and who steps into that vacuum.
Which seems like a perfect transition, actually, because not all threats or heroes come from government projects or outer space, right? Issue #5 shifts focus.
It does. It brings us right down to street level, to heroes born out of pure necessity because the system has failed them.
And this is where we meet Tag and Jazz. This feels really grounded in that Lagos experience.
Absolutely. Sarah Okupe, who is Tag, and Edith F. Young, Jazz, Alpha Sapien sisters. Their origin is raw. Mushin, Lagos, 7 years before the main story. They discover their powers fighting their abusive caretaker.
Wow. So not exactly a heroic calling, more like survival.
Exactly, and Tag really embodies that. The comics explicitly state she stopped waiting for angels, saviors, or heroes. They decided to fight their own battles, look after their own community, the parts everyone else forgets.
That's powerful. What can Tag do?
Her power is fascinating. She can perfectly mimic any physical skill just by watching it.
Any skill, like martial arts from a movie.
Precisely. Instant muscle mimicry. Plus, she can teleport instantly to any object or person she's previously tagged or touched. It's all about immediate action-reaction. No fancy labs needed.
And her attitude. She doesn't seem impressed by the likes of the extremes.
Not in the slightest. She calls them costumed freaks.
Yeah.
There's this great line where she sees Power Box and dismisses him as a Chidi Mokeme wannabe.
Huh. Okay, for listeners maybe not familiar, Chidi Mokeme is a big deal Nollywood actor, right?
Yeah.
Known for those strong leading man roles.
Exactly. So calling Power Box a wannabe is Tag basically saying, I see through the image, the posing, the fame. She's about results on the ground, not heroics for the cameras. It tells you everything about her perspective.
That contrast, the established heroes versus these street-level ones, feels really important, especially when we learn more about Power Box's own past in issues #6 and #7. It's not all heroism, is it?
No, it's dark. Toya, Power Box, has this deep trauma he kept secret. He was a soldier, served in northern Nigeria, specifically Borno State.
Borno State.
Yeah.
That immediately puts it in a real-world context of conflict, of counterinsurgency. That's heavy.
It is. His whole team, highly trained soldiers, including his friend Nduka, they were wiped out during a rescue mission against bandits.
What happened?
It wasn't just the bandits. Someone else showed up. Jason Ogunde. Explosion Kid.
Explosion Kid, okay.
He used some kind of device to immobilize Toya's team then. Well, he finished the job. Toya survived, but carries immense guilt over that failure.
So when Power Box eventually captures Jason Ogunde himself...
He doesn't hand him over. He
No.
holds him illegally at the Extreme's base. It's personal. Deeply personal.
But that illegal detention backfires, doesn't it? It brings the authorities down on them.
Big time. This is where Jade Waziri enters the picture. She's the director of NACSS for the African region.
Okay, NACSS again. Tell us more about them.
Right. So NACSS is the new African Coalition for Security and Surveillance. And importantly, it's not just a Nigerian thing, it's a UN organization. They have units focused on regional security globally, and Jade heads up the African unit.
Got it. So a major international player. And she's not happy with the extremes.
Not at all. She's described as completely no nonsense. She storms their base to arrest them for holding Ogunde. Her view. They're just homo variants acting like spoiled kids. Vigilantism is illegal, end of story, even if they did save the city.
That seems counterproductive. Arresting the heroes who just stopped an asteroid because of procedural issues, doesn't that damage public trust in NACSS?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But it highlights that core tension. For organizations like NACSS, procedure and control often trump results. The extremes are powerful and unaccountable. To someone like Jade Waziri, that is the real threat. It's about who holds the power, institutional versus independent.
And this clash creates chaos.
Complete chaos. While NACSS is raiding the base, news breaks of mass kidnappings, children being taken across Lagos.
A distraction.
Seems like it. And in the confusion, Jason Ogunde, Explosion Kid, escapes NACSS custody. So now the heroes and the authorities are even further apart.
Which brings us right up to the current crisis in issues #8 and #9, the kidnappings.
Yes. The culprit appears to be a mercenary called Rabid Dog. Very dangerous, very high-tech, invisible suit, specialized inhibitor orbs.
Inhibitor orbs to suppress powers.
Exactly. And when they find the kidnapped kids, they're wearing inhibitor collars. It becomes sickeningly clear the targets are powered children, a new generation of homo variants.
Oh, wow. So someone is specifically hunting powered kids.
Mm-hmm. And the kidnappings are happening in Mushin, Tag, and Jazz's territory, so the extremes have to team up with them. Reluctantly.
In an uneasy alliance, I can imagine Tag wasn't thrilled.
Not at all, especially when they rescue the kids. NACSS wants to take them into custody, for their safety, supposedly. Tag completely pushes back.
Why? What's her fear?
She's terrified they'll be experimented on, used by the institution. It's a deep-seated, understandable fear, right, that power structures exploit the vulnerable.
Definitely. So what happened?
And NACSS agent Sandman manages to convince them it's the only safe place, especially since the Extremes base was just compromised by Waziri's raid. But it's tense. Trust is very thin.
And is Tag's suspicion justified? Does New Tech find anything?
He does. He analyzes the tech Rabid Dog left behind. And it's too good, too sophisticated for just some mercenary, too well organized. Meaning Rabid Dog wasn't working alone. New Tech figures out the entire operation, kidnappings, the advanced tech, even making it look like HIVES might be involved to distract NACSS.
It was all orchestrated by someone else.
Yes, the real mastermind. A techno-organic villain named Blackout.
Blackout. So he's framing terrorists, using mercenaries, kidnapping powered kids. This is way bigger than just stopping street crime.
It's a whole different level. It's strategic. Blackout is playing chess, using everyone else, NACSS, HIVES, maybe even the extremes as pieces.
Wow. Okay. That really explains why this story feels so layered. It's got the superhero action, sure, but it's woven into these really specific, relatable African contexts.
Exactly. The trauma from Borno, the survival instinct on the Lagos streets, the skepticism towards big, faceless organizations, it makes it feel authentic. It's an indigenous narrative using familiar tropes, but the perspective shift makes it resonate globally too, because those themes of youth, resilience, fighting against the odds, they're universal.
Absolutely. It's a generation facing complex inherited problems, but with unique powers and very real scars. So for you listening, where does that leave us right now after issue #9?
Well, the Extremes base is gone, but they have a temporary new one. They've got these very reluctant new allies in Tag and Jazz, and their main target now is Blackout.
Who's clearly playing a much longer, much more dangerous game than they initially realized.
Definitely. And honestly, to really grasp the depth, the visuals, the cultural nuances, the humor, the tension, everything you really need to read the comics.
We strongly encourage you to do that. Dive into the source material yourself. You can get full access on the Comic Republic website. That's www.thecomicrepublic.com.
And it's incredibly accessible. Just $1 gives you access. Or if you're in Nigeria, it's 1,000 naira.
For that, you get the whole Hero Generation series so far, plus everything else Comic Republic offers. You get the full story, the art, the complete experience.
Go check it out. See this world for yourself. Find out what happens when these young heroes start to realize they might just be pawns, you know? Pawns in a game run by someone who sees them not as threats, but just children.
And that's a chilling thought to end on. A deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.